The first time I saw him, he smiled at me like he'd been waiting all along, and I knew I'd been living with a stranger in my own skin. The door clicked shut behind me, and the echo of it in the vast, empty apartment felt louder than the noise of the city beyond the glass walls. I leaned against it for a moment, closing my eyes, breathing in the familiar, sterile scent of polished floors and expensive furniture. I had drunk enough at the party to loosen my tongue, to smile at people I hated, but not enough to numb the ache that grew with every step I took toward this place. My place. Or so it was supposed to be. The city glittered beneath me, 1,000 lights flickering like dying stars. I unfastened my tie, tossing it onto the sleek black sofa. The apartment was beautiful, magazine cover beautiful, all glass, steel, and stone, with carefully chosen artwork that matched the coldness of the space. I had picked out everything, and yet none of it felt mine. My shoes echoed on the polished floor as I walked through the living room and into the bedroom, and that's when I saw it, the mirror. It had always been there, or at least it had been for months. A gift from Leah, my fiancée. An antique, she'd said. A piece of history to add warmth to our home. Warmth. I almost laughed. The mirror stood tall against the wall, its silver frame ornate and heavy, like something that belonged in an old castle. The surface was slightly warped, the way old glass gets, and for a second, I thought the reflection was distorted because of that. But then it moved. Not in sync with me, not like a reflection should. I froze. In the dim light, I saw myself, the height, the dark hair falling messily across my forehead, the tailored suit rumpled after the long night. But the eyes in that mirror were darker than mine, almost black, and the smile on his face, it wasn't mine at all. He smiled at me like he'd been waiting, like he knew me. A cold shiver ran down my spine. I took a step back, my heartbeat loud in my ears. Aiden? Leah's voice. Soft, sweet, too sweet. I turned my head. She stood in the doorway, wrapped in one of my shirts, her blonde hair loose around her shoulders. You're home late. Her tone was gentle, but there was an edge to it. A tightness around her eyes that said she wasn't worried. She was annoyed. Yeah, I said, my voice rough. The party went long. She stepped closer, glancing at the broken tie on the sofa behind me. I was worried, she said, though the words fell flat. Were you? I thought. Or were you just worried about appearances? About what I might find out if I stayed out too long? I didn't say it. Instead, I let my eyes drift back to the mirror. The reflection was normal now. Just me, looking pale and tired. I'm fine, I muttered. Leah crossed her arms, leaning against the doorframe. Her blue eyes studied me, calculating, as if trying to decide how much of my mood she needed to care about. Come to bed, she said finally, her voice softening. You're exhausted. I nodded, because it was easier. Because, what else was I supposed to do? Call her out? Start a fight? No, that wasn't me. I followed her into the room, but my gaze lingered on the mirror. And for just a second, just before I turned away, I saw him again, smiling. Inner thoughts filled with tension and self-doubt. I lay beside her that night, staring at the ceiling while she slept. I could hear her breathing, slow and even, as if none of this touched her, as if she wasn't part of the weight crushing me. What was I doing? Living in a glass box, pretending everything was fine? Pretending Leah was the woman I'd fallen in love with, not the stranger who looked at me like I was a project she hadn't finished yet? And the mirror. God, the mirror. Was I losing it? Seeing things? Or had I just, finally, started seeing the truth? The morning light crept through the curtains, slicing the room into bands of gold and shadow. I stood in the kitchen, my hands wrapped around a mug of coffee that had long gone cold. The city outside was already awake. Horns, sirens, the hum of life that I felt more and more disconnected from with each passing day. My gaze drifted across the apartment, and it landed, as it always seemed to lately, on the mirror. From here, through the doorway to the bedroom, I could see its silver frame catching the morning light. It didn't belong in this space, no matter how much Leah had gushed about its charm. It'll bring harmony, she'd said when she first brought it home, her eyes bright, lips curved in that practiced smile of hers. It's an antique. Look at the craftsmanship, Aiden. It'll warm the place up. Warmth. All I'd felt when I saw it was a chill, like the air had dropped 10 degrees. I should have said no, should have trusted my gut, but I hadn't, because that's who I was, the man who said yes to keep the peace. I took a sip of the bitter coffee and set the mug down. Time to get to work. The office was a sleek glass cage on the 40th floor, with a view that was supposed to impress clients and remind employees of how high we'd climbed. I hated it. Aiden. I turned just as Ryan strode toward me, his grin wide, his handshake firm, too firm. His suit was perfect, his hair effortless, his charm turned up to full volume. Congrats, man, you earned it. His tone was light, but his eyes, those sharp green eyes, told the truth. He hated every bit of it. Thanks, I said, forcing a smile. Senior architect by 30. You're living the dream. I shrugged. Something like that. He clapped me on the shoulder, a little too hard, and leaned in. Don't let it go to your head, he said with a wink. People love to see a golden boy fall. I laughed, but it sounded hollow, even to me. As he walked away, I stayed by the window, staring down at the ant like people on the street. Ryan had been my friend once, or so I thought. Now, every word felt like a veiled threat. That night, Leah wasn't home when I got back. I told myself not to care, not to check, but I did. Her phone was on the kitchen counter. The screen lit up with a message. Same place as before? Can't stop thinking about you. No name, just a number. My stomach nodded. I didn't unlock it, didn't need to. I already knew. I stood there, breathing hard, the quiet of the apartment pressing in on me. And then, I felt it. That pull. My eyes lifted, drawn back to the bedroom, to the mirror. I walked toward it, as if in a trance. The room was dim, the only light coming from the city outside. And the reflection? At first, it was me. Rumpled shirt, tired eyes, shoulders heavy with everything I couldn't say out loud. But then, the other me lifted his hand before I did. His movements were slow, deliberate, as if savoring the moment. And he smiled. That same smile I'd seen before, the one that chilled my blood. He nodded at me, like we were old friends, like he understood. I shook my head, backing away. My heart raced, my breath quick and shallow, but then I heard it. A whisper, so soft I thought I imagined it. You're tired of being weak. Let me show you how to be strong. The voice wasn't mine, and yet it was. I turned and left the room, my pulse thundering in my ears. But even as I closed the door behind me, I could feel his gaze. And for the first time, a small, dark part of me wondered what it would be like to say yes. The dream began like so many others, with the feeling of falling. But this time, I didn't hit the ground. Instead, I landed on my feet in a corridor that stretched endlessly in both directions. The floor beneath me was black glass, the walls tall mirrors that curved inward, closing me in like the jaws of some great beast. Cold air wrapped around me, stinging my skin. I took a step forward. My boots echoed in the silence. The mirrors reflected me, hundreds of me, but not the me I wanted to see. In one I was screaming, rage twisting my features. In another, I saw myself shoving Ryan against a wall, fists clenched, eyes wild. A third showed me with Leah, shouting words I didn't want to remember, betraying myself with every breath. The corridor stretched on, and the reflections grew darker, crueler. I tried to look away, but I couldn't. Do you see now? The voice came from everywhere and nowhere. You try so hard to be good, but this is who you are. I turned, searching for the speaker, but it was only me, the me in the mirrors, grinning. I woke with a start, my body drenched in sweat. The room was dark except for the faint glow of the city beyond the window. The air felt heavy, as if the dream hadn't ended at all. And then I heard it, a whisper, Aiden. I froze. My eyes drifted toward the mirror. The silver frame gleamed in the dim light, and in its surface, I saw him, the other me. His dark eyes gleamed, his smile patient, as if he'd been waiting for me to wake. You're tired, he said softly. Tired of pretending, tired of hurting. I swallowed hard, my mouth dry. What do you want? I whispered. It's not what I want, it's what you want. His voice was smooth, comforting, like the promise of shelter in a storm. Let me help you. We can trade. You give me your burdens, I give you strength, freedom, no more doubt, no more pain. The offer hung in the air like smoke, and for the first time, I felt the pull. What if I said yes? What if I let him take the weight I couldn't bear anymore? I closed my eyes, willing the voice away. When I opened them, the mirror showed only me, pale, shaken, alone. The next morning, desperate to clear my head, I left the apartment and walked until my legs ached. I ended up in a quiet cafe, tucked between two towering office buildings. The kind of place where no one knew my name. I was stirring a coffee I didn't want when she slid into the seat across from me. Interesting choice of a hiding spot. I looked up. She was striking, not in the polished, artificial way Leah was, but in a way that made me want to stare. Dark hair streaked with silver framed a face that had seen storms. Her brown eyes were sharp, and there was something steady about her presence, like she was the only solid thing in a world that had begun to blur. "I'm sorry," I said, confused. "Do I know you?" "Not yet. But I know you." She offered a small smile. "And more importantly, I know about the mirror." That made my blood run cold. "What are you talking about?" She leaned forward. "I'm Mirren. I study artifacts, dangerous ones. That mirror in your home, it's called the Rift Mirror. It's not just a decoration, it's a tool. One that either breaks a soul or makes it whole, depending on the choices of the person who stands before it." I stared at her, my mind racing. "You're mistaken," I said, though part of me knew she wasn't. "I don't think I am." She set a business card on the table. "No company name, just a number. When you're ready to talk, call me. Just don't listen to what's in that glass." And with that, she was gone, leaving me alone with my coffee, my reflection in the window, and a choice I didn't want to make. The first crack wasn't in the mirror. It was in the world around me. It started small, a fleeting image in a passing window, the shimmer of something that shouldn't have been there. But once I noticed it, I couldn't unsee it. Walking into the office one morning, I caught my reflection in the glass doors. But it wasn't me, not really. The man in the reflection smirked, his eyes dark with something I didn't want to name. His lips moved, though mine didn't. Soon, I blinked, and it was gone. Inside, the day unfolded like any other, at least on the surface. Ryan clapped me on the back in front of the team, his laugh loud enough for the whole floor to hear. "Aiden's on top of the world, isn't he?" There was a tone beneath the words, a razor hidden in the smile. I saw the way a few coworkers glanced at me, their expressions a mix of envy and doubt. I wondered what Ryan had been saying behind closed doors. By afternoon, my head pounded. I left the office early, hoping fresh air might help. Evening settled over the city, turning the park into a quiet place of shadows and street lamps. I walked aimlessly, trying to shake the sense that the world had shifted while I wasn't looking. And then, I saw them, Leah, Ryan, together on a bench beneath a tree, talking too close, laughing too easily. Her hand brushed his arm, and the sight made my stomach twist. They hadn't noticed me, not yet. I stood frozen, watching, my fists clenched at my sides. When Leah finally looked up and saw me, the color drained from her face. "Aiden," she started, standing quickly, smoothing her coat as if that could erase what I'd seen. Ryan rose too, his easy smile faltering for the first time. "This isn't what it looks like," Leah said, the classic line that made me want to laugh and scream all at once. "Then what is it?" My voice came out low, tight. Ryan stepped forward. "Man, it's not a big deal. We ran into each other." "Sure, just like that." I shook my head and turned, walking away before I did something I couldn't take back. Back at the apartment, the air felt heavier than ever. I avoided the bedroom at first, but it didn't matter. I could feel the mirror's pull from wherever I stood. When I finally faced it, the reflection wasn't even trying to mimic me anymore. He stood there, arms crossed, head tilted, watching me with amusement. "You see it now, don't you?" the double said, his voice like mine but stronger, sharper. "See what?" I asked, though I already knew. "How weak you are. How they walk all over you. How they laugh at you behind your back." I closed my eyes, willing the voice away. But he didn't stop. "Let me in. Let me guide you. I can make it stop." His words slithered through my mind, tempting, dangerous. I didn't sleep. The next day, I met Miran in a small bookstore cafe. surrounded by the scent of old paper and coffee. "You look like hell," she said, pulling out the chair across from me. "Thanks," I muttered. She studied me for a moment before speaking. "You've seen more, haven't you? The mirror's showing you things, twisting them." "It's not twisting them," I said. "It's showing me the truth." Mirren leaned in, her voice low but firm. "No, it's showing you what it wants. The rift mirror feeds on doubt, on anger. It waits for someone to fall far enough that they'll give themselves over to it. And when they do, what happens? It consumes what's left, leaves only the hollow parts behind, the parts that will serve it." I sat back, the weight of her words sinking in. "What do I do?" Her gaze softened. "You fight it. You remember who you are before it's too late." But the question that haunted me, the one I couldn't bring myself to ask, what if that man in the glass was who I really was all along? The storm came in fast that night. Thunder cracked across the sky, shaking the windows of the apartment. Rain lashed against the glass as if trying to break inside. The city lights blurred behind the curtain of water, and for the first time in a long while, I felt as trapped inside as I did in my own mind. I paced the living room, the shadows deep and restless. Every surface seemed to reflect me, not just the mirror in the bedroom, but the dark windows, the polished floors, the framed photos on the shelves. And in every one, I saw him, the other me. His gaze followed my every move, his smile growing wider with each step I took. "You can't keep running from this," he said, his voice curling through the air like smoke. "You know what needs to be done." I clenched my fists, trembling from more than just the cold that seeped through the apartment. "Why should I let you in?" I whispered. "Because you're tired," he answered. "Because you've been betrayed, because you're done playing the fool. Let me give you what you deserve." And in that moment, with the storm outside, the storm inside, and no one left I could trust, I said it. Yes. The word slipped out before I could stop it. The change was instant. The apartment seemed to shudder, as if it too felt what I had done. The mirrors cracked, all of them. Hairline fractures raced across the glass, splitting my reflection into shards. Except for him. In the bedroom, the rift mirror stood untouched, its surface smooth, perfect. And in it, the other me stepped forward, closer, until it felt like he was standing in the room with me. I felt it then, the rush of something dark and powerful. My heart steadied, my hands stilled, my mind cleared. For the first time in so long, I wasn't weighed down by doubt or pain. I was strong, but beneath that strength, a hollow opened up. A space where everything human, everything soft, used to live. The next morning, Leah came home. She paused in the doorway, the storm gone, but the air still heavy with its memory. "Aiden?" she called, stepping inside. When she saw me standing in the center of the room, she froze. There was fear in her eyes, real, raw fear, and it sent a strange thrill through me. "I was worried," she said, but her voice shook. I didn't answer. I just watched her. She took a step back. "You're different," she whispered. Ryan showed up at work that day, but he kept his distance. Gone were the claps on the back, the easy grins. He barely met my eyes, as if he sensed the change and didn't want to be near it. I moved through the world untouchable, unstoppable, and yet, with every victory, every moment where no one dared cross me, the emptiness inside grew. It was Miran who found me again. I was in a bar downtown, the kind of place where no one asked questions. She slid onto the stool beside me, her expression grave. "You did it," she said. "I didn't deny it. You let him in. You became him." Her words should have stung, but they didn't. I just stared at her, waiting. "What's left of you, Aiden?" she asked, quietly. "The real you?" I had no answer, because I wasn't sure there was anything left at all. Every surface in the city had turned against me. Walking down the street, I caught sight of myself, or what should have been myself, in shop windows, car mirrors, puddles. But it wasn't me anymore. The other version of me was everywhere. His smile stretched wider with every passing day, his eyes darker, hungrier. When strangers passed, they didn't notice. But I saw, and it felt like the city itself was slipping further into his grasp. I didn't know where else to go, so I went to Miran. Her workshop was nothing like the sleek, empty spaces I lived in. Books and papers were stacked high, Ancient objects lay scattered across tables. Strange symbols glinted in the low light. The air smelled of old ink and herbs. Miran was waiting. "I was hoping you'd come," she said quietly. I sank into a chair, exhausted. "It's everywhere now," I admitted. "I can't escape him. I don't even know if I want to." Her eyes softened, but her voice stayed firm. "You do. I know you do. The part of you that came here is proof of that." I stared at my hands that didn't even feel like mine anymore. "What do I do?" "You fight." She lit a candle, the flame flickering between us. "I can guide you into the space where he lives, the space between the glass and your soul, but the battle is yours. You have to face him. You have to want to win." I hesitated. "What if I lose? Then the man who walks out of here won't be you." I closed my eyes. The room fell away. I felt the pull of the rift mirror, even though it wasn't here. It was everywhere now, part of me. When I opened my eyes, I was in that corridor again. Endless mirrors stretched in both directions, but this time they were cracked, broken, as fractured as I felt. And at the end of the hall, he waited. The other me. He stepped forward, slow and deliberate. His voice echoed, as if the mirrors themselves spoke with him. "Why are you here, Aiden? You've already given me everything. I came to take it back." His laughter filled the space, low and cruel. "You can't. You don't have it in you." I clenched my fists. "You don't know me. I am you." He lunged. We collided, and it wasn't a fight of fists, but of wills. Every terrible thought I'd ever had, every weakness, every regret, he threw them at me like daggers. "You're nothing without me," he hissed. "You're weak. You need me." No, the word came from somewhere deep inside. "I don't need you. I never did. I let you in because I was afraid, but I'm done being afraid." Light began to crack through the mirrors, blinding, burning away the shadows. The other me screamed, a sound of rage and loss. And then he was gone. I opened my eyes in Miran's workshop, gasping for breath, as if I'd surfaced from deep water. She was watching, relief in her gaze. "You did it," she said softly. But all I could feel was the weight of what came next. We stood outside my apartment just as the first light of dawn began to creep over the city. The storm had passed, leaving the streets slick and gleaming. A soft breeze stirred the air, carrying with it the promise of something new. Miran touched my arm, grounding me. "Are you ready?" I nodded. We stepped inside. The place felt different somehow, heavier, as if the walls themselves remembered everything that had happened here. The cracked mirrors reflected 1,000 fractured versions of me, but none of them smiled. None of them mocked. They simply waited. And there it was, the rift mirror. Somehow, it had returned to its place, tall and unbroken, its silver frame glinting in the soft morning light. The surface was smooth, flawless, as if none of the battles had touched it. I stared at it, and for a heartbeat, the temptation rose. What if I kept it? What if I held on to that power, that certainty? But I knew better. Miran's voice was steady beside me. "It's your choice, but if you leave it, it will always call to you." I stepped forward. The mirror showed only me now, just me, tired, human, whole. I reached out and let my hand rest against the cool glass. "I'm done," I whispered. Then, without looking away, I picked up the heavy sculpture that sat on the nearby table. A gift from a client, something solid and real. And with all the strength I had left, I drove it into the mirror's surface. The glass shattered with a sound like breaking chains. Fragments fell to the floor, catching the light like tiny stars before going dark. The apartment seemed to breathe, as if it too had been freed. In the days that followed, the world settled. The mirrors no longer played tricks. My reflection was my own. Leah moved out without a word. Ryan kept his distance, avoiding my gaze whenever our paths crossed. It was as if they could sense the change in me, even if they didn't understand it. I didn't miss them. Not the way I thought I would. One morning, I stood with Miran on the balcony as the city woke beneath us. The sky blushed with the colors of sunrise, and for the first time in what felt like forever, I could breathe easily. She glanced at me, a small smile on her lips. "You did it." "We did it," I corrected. Inside, on a shelf, I'd kept a single shard of the mirror. A reminder. Of what I'd faced, of what I'd almost become, of what I'd chosen instead. And as the sun climbed higher, I felt ready for whatever came next.